Hi, everyone. I'm Summer,
I'm Carrie.
and this is Hopelexia Podcast.
Join us to talk about sex, drugs, and self improvement.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
horrible bus.
Same. Was having. I didn't know if my messages were making any sense. I was having trouble. Like I thought I apparently was in the room. Because the way these are set up, you got your streams and stuff. But like most of my settings and things were gone, and I'm like, it's because it had me logged in as a guest and not as the host. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm just like, ugh. So as it turns out, it's probably good that we missed our last upload, because clearly we've been going through it, and we're so technologically challenged, it probably wouldn't have happened anyway. Or it would have been a big old mess.
It's been a lot this last couple weeks, so for everybody.
Isn't everybody? Because everybody I know, it has been so hard lately. So hard.
Yeah.
So is this just a universal crisis that we're all having right now?
I think so. Somebody on TikTok, because I live on there, as everybody knows, said one of the planets was in something, and as
It's in
everybody's
microwave. I saw something about 7 planets being in the microwave or something.
their microwave Gatorade
It's
something.
all of the aids. I don't know. The Kool-Aid, the Jonestown Kool-Aid. I
It's
don't
all
know.
just. Can you give me 1 second?
No seconds. Go ahead.
Anyway.
You're gonna demonstrate those breathing exercises for us.
Yeah.
We could all use some guided breathing.
I could use something. Vacation, a longer nap, something.
I am about to go on vacation.
I'm jealous.
Well, see,
Oh, is
I'm
it?
going camping, and I hate camping outside, but my second kid, how old is he now? 20? He wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, okay, let's go to the Grand Canyon. And only the littlest one of the kids wanted to go. So 3 of us going to the Grand Canyon. And he's like, oh, it would be so cool to boondocking and backcountry camping. I'm like, this is sounding less and less like vacation to me.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of extra work and a lot of time, on, the ground,
I
outside.
I usually camp in my van.
Yeah,
This is my this
that's
is my
way better.
micro camper. I have not attempted to sleep in a tent in 20 years. And that's because I didn't sleep at all and damn near had a panic attack last time I tried it. I refilled my prescription, taking it with me. Because I keep telling myself, like, I'm in a better place right now. I've done a whole lot more. Back then I was, in my early 20s, did, no trauma work had been done, any of that.
Right.
So I'm like, I can do this now. Because I know if I manage to do it without my brain going full PTSD freak out, then it'll be easier next time, right? Because you learn, oh, I've done this. It's fine. Nothing horrible happened. But yeah.
It's that initial, leap into the first time.
Right.
That's the hard part.
So if you get a panicked call while I'm out of town,
I can't come get you because my car is fucked, but I can emotionally support you over the phone.
yeah, how is the car going? So she had a slight accident that wasn't her fault. And by slight, I mean not little at all.
Um, it it's going. I took my cardian estimate last week for the initial assessment, and it was estimated to be $7,800 worth of damage. Because I got hit. I have like a smaller like SUV of a Jeep, and so I got hit by an F-150. You know, extremely durable and like working vehicle is very tough because they're built Ford tough, obviously. Jeeps are not built Ford tough, but
Please don't sue us, Jeep.
please don't sue me. I love my Jeep. I love it so much. It's not built Ford tough, but the truck hit me. Like I was going, like I had the right of way. I was slowing down to like get up to merge to a turn lane at an intersection, and a truck like came around a semi, like trying to leave a parking lot, turning left, and didn't see me coming up by the semi, and hit my back passenger side, like right above the wheel. So they, like, my tire is bent inwards a little bit, and you can see it from like the back. You can see it looking at it, and it looked like somebody took like a can opener to the back side of my car, and like my bumper was hanging off, like hanging on for dear life. Like you could see like the insulation like in the car, like in between the two walls. You could see the insulation, you could see like the styrofoam or whatever that material is like underneath the bumper. Everything was just like hanging off. It's currently duct tape with Gorilla Glue, not Gorilla Glue, Gorilla Duct Tape. So, but it was like $7,800 worth of damage on the initial estimate. But they did like a second one with the same shop and everything, like trying to get like previously used parts and like discounted stuff, and it was like $4,800 for that. So they're gonna not have to write it off as a total loss, thank God. And I wasn't hurt, the driver wasn't hurt, and the other vehicle, his passenger, wasn't hurt. Nobody around us got hit with anything, so everything's fine. It was just shitty because it was like 105 or something that day, and so we were sitting in like a parking lot waiting for police officer to get there to take a report, because the guy that hit me was willing to wait for the report, but his dad was his passenger and was trying to convince me that we didn't need a police report and it would be fine. And I was like, no, we're getting one. So we had to wait for like an hour for the police officer to get there, and it was so fucking hot. But it's still drivable, and I'm gonna get a rental, so.
So what are you doing for self-care in your very stressful, because I know it's not just that, you've got all this, you know, your job and everything else. Baking, what are you baking?
Lots of baking. So many danishes. So many.
Can you bake me some cookies? Because I really want to eat my feelings today.
I would love to. My
She's
roommate
gonna
tried to
enable
bake cookies the other day to make edibles, and they look like garbage, but
Aww.
he's not a baker, so I forgive him. They still looked good. They weren't like pretty cookies. They all merged into one giant cookie.
Yeah.
But today, after,
That means you get to eat the whole thing. That's what that means.
well, he made the edibles for his parents. They didn't even get one, which I guess is
Rude.
okay because it's for his parents. He's trying to be nice, I guess. Rude to me, but nice to his parents.
Rude. You should get at least one.
I know. I was the one that told him how to make them while he was throwing it all in a bowl, you know? I think today I'm going to try to make cinnamon rolls after this, so.
Oh, yum.
I'm very excited. Well, other than that, I just, playing video games, not coping correctly and like working a ton extra.
So, see, that's what I'm struggling with too, is the not coping correctly. And here's how I know that I'm not okay. Because I think I'm okay, right? Because I'm still doing all the things, right? And I think I'm managing all right. And then I go buy a 12-string guitar randomly when I don't know how to fucking play guitar. What is that? But my brain's like, oh, look, it's pretty. Let's buy it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yeah. I gotta get better. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. So the thing that happens when you've been in survival mode, right, is when it settles and you feel and you're finally safe, all of those things that you haven't processed and haven't dealt with come back. So I've got a fucking decade of grief from
Yeah.
like multiple deaths and stuff that's been hitting me all at once, and like it's good like to finally be processing some of that, but I'm just like my brain keeps pinballing back and forth between like, okay, it's good, let's process this, but then also at the same time there's this realization of I did not realize how bad the situation I was in really was,
Yeah.
that it had me so shut down for this long. And then I have to be careful not to go into a shame spiral, because then I start feeling guilty about what, my choices then, affected my other people, my small people, my
My small
children,
humans.
right? Because they didn't make that decision
Yeah.
to bring her into the home, and they didn't make the decision to make that permanent. I mean, yes, they voiced their opinion and they were in support of it, but they're children. I ultimately made that decision.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
But even then,
They,
like, there's no way to predict, like, how it would have gone anyway. Like,
right.
because there's so many different ways it could have gone, and, like, I think that's, like, the hard part.
It is. And I mean, I have a friend who is a foster parent, has been for, I don't know, 20 years or something. And she reminded me, like, you did the best you could with the information you had at the time. And if you had said no, then every negative thing that happened to her after that point, you would have blamed yourself, because what if I had taken her? And like rationally, I know she's right, but emotionally, I'm not there yet.
That, yeah, that is, like, it's such a weird situation, because when I was talking to, like, parents about similar things for my job, like, it's rough, because, like, they feel so upset and, like, guilty and stuff when they find out, like, about stuff that's happened to, like, the kids. And they're like, if I had just gotten them, like, sooner, if they had been put with me instead of this other home, like, they could have avoided that. And I'm like, I mean, maybe. You don't know that, though. And, like, you can
Right.
do the best you can with the time you have with them and hope for the best, but, like, you literally cannot avoid life happening.
And we can't control that, and I think that's part of my problem too, is the feeling of being out of control is a bit triggering for me.
Same.
um, yeah, in that there was not anything I could do to actually affect the outcome. And so that's the thing, like, right, like, as people, when we go through hard things, if the end result is however we assess it as good, right? It's the desirable outcome, or whatever. Then we say, "Oh, it was all worth it."
Yeah.
But if it's not those exact same experiences, and then it's just like, "Well, fuck,
Yeah. Like,
that was anticlimactic," right? It's just like, what?
being a person is hard.
I don't know. It's just so. I don't know. There are no words,
Truly.
and
Like,
I think the fact that there's ongoing concerns too, because like my cousin called me last week and said or I'm sorry, didn't call, he texted. We were talking by text, that they had just called him and asked him to take placement, which of course he couldn't do. We had already, you know, gone over all this, with the idea of kinship in the first place, because they always try kinship first before taking custody. And so he's like, I just wanted to let you know, no, I can't do it. But they didn't tell him anything. There were no disclosures. Literally, the only thing was 15-year-old, your 15-year-old family member doesn't have a place to live. Will you take her? And so I have concerns that they are setting her up in placements that aren't aware, um, of what they are dealing with in order to approach her accordingly.
Yeah.
Because there are different approaches you can take, and some are going to escalate her behaviors a lot, and then some kind of keep that going smoothly. But you don't, unless you know what you're dealing with, the way you typically will handle, kids, especially kids with trauma background, is the opposite of what she needs. And so they may be creating, I have concerns they might be creating a potentially volatile situation by not disclosing those things. Which, again, nothing I can do about it. But it doesn't stop the back of my mind from being like, well, maybe there was something you could have done differently so that, she could have stayed at home. But I mean, I know I tried for years. Like, no, we were literally at a point where they're telling me, oh, we're getting involved either way.
Yeah, like it's so frustrating because I know that they're supposed to disclose, and I'm hoping for the best reasoning why they didn't say anything in the phone call, being that since it's a kinship placement, they would have assumed he knew. That's what I'm hoping. It's like why
I'm
they
hoping.
didn't say anything.
I'm hoping. And then I had to tell my friend, because I had not told her this before. So up until I was still friends with my daughter on social media up until a couple of weeks ago, when I made a comment about how it was inappropriate of her to be recording what appeared to be a minor in her placement home and putting it on the internet. And that person appeared to not even know they were being recorded, let alone put on the internet. So at that point, she unfriended me. And switched her profile over entirely to a persona that she had used previously to catfish people. And it had not occurred to me until that moment when I saw the two little, because how your inboxes will show, your messages from these people that you were talking to. And so I saw their little avatars together and realized her catfishing persona is my friend. She uses her name, her picture, which is an entirely different race for my daughter. Everything was identical except my daughter had added a nose ring. And I'm like, okay, so I need to tell you something, like, because she knew about the catfishing because she was actually on the phone with me the first time I found that she had been doing that like a few years ago. And I'm like, so this persona that she uses most of the time, like, it didn't occur to me, but apparently it's you. Yeah, I know. Your face. It's like, I don't know. And she's like, I don't know how to feel about that. I said, I don't know either, but I thought I would tell you in case anybody ever says anything, like, thinking they were talking to you.
That's
And
wild.
Yeah.
And your daughter knows your friend? Like,
oh, yeah. Because I've been friends with her since elementary school.
Like, that's...
We basically have raised our children together.
I feel like typically when you hear people like catfishing, they use people that they don't know, like, in their real life to do it. So it's like...
Well, the name, it's the name, and like the little cartoon avatars are based on her, apparently. But then she has stolen someone else's who is closer to her age, someone else's pictures off the internet, and are using those for the photos.
It's so jarring for it to be people that she like knows in real life. Like, that's odd. Like, I don't know how to react to that either.
I don't know either. And I don't know why I didn't realize it before. I guess because the first time when I caught her doing this catfishing, she had, I think, 3 or 4 different profiles. So, like, I didn't
Yeah.
register. I was more focused on, oh my God, seeing, the looming threat of some of the people she was talking to. Um, that it didn't occur to me. But then when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is that's a different dimension I hadn't
Yeah.
seen before. So I don't really know.
That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to.
I don't know. Like, I don't even know. It's one of those times where your brain is pinging like this isn't right, but you don't even have like a specific emotion that goes to it. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like confusion and like I, I don't
Yeah.
know, like it's not even like my pictures or like I'm not involved in any of it at all and I'm still like uncomfortable like hearing
Right.
it.
Right. And I think that was the thing for my friend too, was like, okay, but when she has conversations with people as me, is she giving them actual information that's accurate to me? Right? Because then if you get somebody who like tries to find you in person, they're going to be locating her if
Yeah.
they have her actual information. And I don't know the answer to that.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's a whole thing I don't know how to feel about. But I've noticed that, so she hasn't been here since, what month is this? August. So 3 months. Um, and I've noticed I still can't even walk through my door without bolting it from the inside.
Which is understandable. Like you like you had to for so many years. Like it's not a habit that's gonna be like broken.
Okay, but I don't have habits. I have ADHD. I can't develop habits.
Well,
I can't even take my medication when I'm going to be in protracted pain daily when I forget it. So
well
that
then you
means
fear for
there's like
your
a
life.
deeply, that means, right, that means there's a deeply rooted trauma there
Yeah.
that I wasn't cognizant of before this. And that's, I mean, it's amazing that our brains can do all the things they can do, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, oh,
Because I do not to like the same level, obviously, but I lock all the doors constantly. I make sure all the blinds are closed constantly. Like all the things constantly so that people can't look inside because somebody tried to break into our house when I was in 7th grade while I was home alone. So that's why I do it. I'm terrified of it happening and it's not the same
right.
level as yours, but even just like that one time was enough to make my brain do it. So I can't imagine like the level of trauma it would take in that kind of situation to make your brain do the things that it's doing.
I think what's tripping me up here, because I have previous traumas, we've talked about those on other episodes. But in those situations, it was people with more power, right? Older men,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. I think I think I'm stalled on the fact that this was a fucking child.
Yeah.
And the reason I got to that conclusion was from some of the comments on the TikToks that were like, children can't be abusive because they're children. They shouldn't be held accountable for, trying to unalive people because they're children. And like in my mind, I know people feel that, think that. But when I read it the first time, I had an emotional reaction instead of an academic one. So it was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there's something there. So I think that's what's tripping me up is the fact that in my, like, part of me feels like maybe, I don't know, maybe it comes back to feeling like maybe I should have been able to do something because she was a child, even though, like, logically it doesn't work that way, right? Like, she was just tall, she's damn near my size, you
Yeah.
know, skinnier, but same height and everything, and
And
a
still
lot
pretty
younger.
strong, like for a
Right.
teenager. Like,
So it's like logically, I know that the threat is real, but I guess part of me still has that in the back of my head of, okay, but you're the parent, you should have been able to deal with this. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And to be sure you never miss an upload, make sure you turn your notifications on. And please come join us on social media so we can continue these conversations in between episodes. You'll find us at Hypoxia Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.